Hello friend, today I want to talk to you about another plank in the poverty mentality that holds many people down, and it's this idea of something being too hard. Yesterday I was standing in line at a store, ready to check out. I had a cart full of things, and someone behind me said, "Hey, I saw some guy on a video, he was buying stuff at a store and reselling and making millions." I said, "Yeah. Why don't you do that?" And his response was, "It looked too hard." Another guy said, "Yeah, you got to be very dedicated for that." The mentality that holds so many people down is something is too hard. You're going to have to put too much work in. You have to be too dedicated. It's not worth doing. And yet people settle for having a little, not being the best they can be, not being able to help other people because they don't have enough for themselves, because they don't want to do something that might be too hard. This is something you can see time and time again. People will work hard who are poor. Most of them do. But they'll work hard on things that don't take a lot of risk. So, for example, going to a job. It's hard work, it's physical work maybe, but there's no real risk. They know they're getting a paycheck at the end of the week. It's very easy for them, even though the work itself is physically hard or the hours are long. But that's really the easy way out. Sometimes the hard physical labor is not the hard work. The hardest work is when you actually say, you know what, I'm going to take some risk here. I'm going to step out and do something that might be very hard. It might take something from me. I might have to learn more. For example, I was talking to someone yesterday as well about mining cryptocurrency. And they're talking about how, with my help, I got them going and doing it, how they've never been able to do it on their own. Well, it's just simply not true. They absolutely could have done it, but there was this fear of learning. If I go learn more, it's going to be too hard, I'm going to mess up, I need someone who's done it before. And a lot of this is propagated today by people telling you, well, you need a mentor, you got to have a mentor, you got to have a coach, and those things are great, but in some cases that causes people to shrink back and not do some basic things themselves, like learning for your own self. If you're going to be going into something, why wouldn't you learn the most you can and be able to take advantage of the situation when other people are not going to do the hard work? They're not going to be as diligent. They're going to say, well, that's too hard, I can't do that. I got to learn, I got to spend hours a day learning about something new. That's too hard. And yet they'll go and work 8-10-hour days doing hard physical labor because they refuse to spend a few hours learning something new and growing with that. I think this mentality of something being too hard is really not based in laziness. It could be, of course, but it's mainly based in fear. There's a fear that this is too hard. I'm going to have to learn a bunch. I'm going to do this and that. And I don't know if it's going to work out, so they're afraid. And so too hard sounds better than saying, I'm afraid. Now, realistically, they really believe it's too hard, but the reason they believe it's too hard is because of the fear. This is an underlying sentiment, that of fear, in the poverty mentality. It really keeps so many people bound. People who are risk adverse don't take the risks that are needed to become great successes and have tremendous amounts of wealth. Now, this is not to have tremendous amounts of wealth so you can accumulate things and get a bunch of Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Rolls Royces, and it's not about that. I was in a hospital a few days ago visiting someone, and when you walk into this hospital, there's a big plaque talking about this hospital is proud of their faith-based tradition. It was a Methodist hospital. My point in saying this is, when you have a bunch of money, when you've accumulated a lot of wealth, when you've accomplished things, you can start things like hospitals where people are getting well and healed and blessed. You can do good things. You can start food banks where people have food given to them. There's a charity I know in my town that has people lined up for miles to get food at that food bank on Saturdays. Now, you can't do that when you're one of the ones in line for that food bank because you don't make enough money to buy your own food. This is what's so important. People don't see. You don't need a bunch of things. Material things is not what is the focus The focus is on being the best you possibly can. Now, maybe you are the best you possibly can. I doubt it, because I meet so many people and very few of them are living anywhere close to what they could be doing. You could absolutely be doing more. But fear will hold you back and tell you things that are too hard. You shouldn't even try. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You don't have enough money. You know, it takes money to make money. All this nonsense will come out that is fear-based. It's not based on reality. It's not based on looking for the opportunities available to you. It's based on fear. So I want you to today really stop and consider, are there opportunities you've passed up because you thought they were too hard? You thought it was going to take too much diligence, too much hard work. It was going to require too much knowledge. You're going to have to learn too much, and it's just too hard. Have you dismissed an opportunity that came your way because of it being too hard in your mind? Really, because you were fearful. You were fearful of the unknown. What if this doesn't work out? What if I put all this hard work in and learn this new thing and it doesn't work? Are you settling for what you know, which is never going to get you anywhere in life, but because you know it, it feels easier? Even though you may be working harder, physically doing it, you're shunning the thing that could have the greatest potential, the greatest upside potential, and huge, massive gains potential because you view it to be too hard. Could that be why you are not where you want to be? Maybe you are where you want to be, but you still could be doing even more. And you realize you've turned things down, you've pushed opportunities aside because you viewed them as being too hard. I grew up very poor, and I remember hearing regularly from various people. You go into a friend's house, and of course they were poor as well, and the family would complain about things, but they never actually did anything that would make a change in their lives. So they were going to be next week in the same position, at best. That's the best case scenario. If something happened, if their job let them go, they're going to be in a worse situation. There was no action being taken to actually improve the situation and resolve whatever the issue was they had. And you would hear literally week after week the same complaints. Well, you know this? Well, how's work? Well, you know, it was the exact same complaint week after week. No resolution, no even attempt at a resolution. And they were doing something good, and you'd ask, well, why don't you do this? Well, you know, I'd have to do this and that, then I have to buy this equipment, that takes money, you know, it takes money to make. I heard that so many times when people would be presented with a business idea. Well, you know, it takes money to make money. All of these excuses that are fear-based and thinking that something's going to be too hard. Listen, learning's not too hard. If learning is too hard for you, it's because you've been pushing it aside and haven't been doing it for many years. The average person discontinues their learning after high school or college, whatever they end at. And that's it. They very rarely learn anything ever again. And obviously they're picking up a few things here and there, but for the most part, it's only what they're forced to learn. There's no actual willful action taken to learn something new. And this will keep you not progressing, but drawing back. And you'll be limited. And here's the thing, you don't have to be. You're created in the image of God, in His image and likeness. The only limitation is what you'll stop for, what you'll cease doing. If you'll continue and grow and grow and grow, who knows where you'll be? Do you think all the millionaires and billionaires who started with little and they didn't have money given to them, they didn't have a family of wealth, they came from poor backgrounds, and yet they attained great wealth, great success? Do you think they would have done that if they had stopped and said, this is too hard? This is going to be too hard. I can't, it's going to take too much diligence. It's going to be too hard for me to do this. You have to decide each and every day, is my day today going to be a little bit better than it was yesterday? Am I going to take the steps needed to have accomplished a little bit more than I did yesterday? Because when you do that and you build upon your previous successes, and we're not talking about massive things, just little tiny things, that will accomplish you massive, massive, massive amounts of success. When you shun hard work and diligence and you think that it's going to be too hard, the challenge will be too great, the risks are too great, so it's easier just staying where you are, then look at where you are now. That's the best you could ever get. And really stop and think about this. Many people don't stop and think about this. They're too busy just living life, going through the motions, almost like a robot. But really stop and think today. Where you are right now, if you're not making changes and improvements every single day, this is the best you can ever get. The best. Most people, that's not the case. And it's not because of lack of contentment, it's because of growth. You don't tell a 3-year-old, well, you're fine where you are, and have them stop growing. They grow, they grow, they grow. And they continue to grow and get bigger and older and stronger and smarter and wiser. You should continue to grow as well. Are you going to be the person who determines something that has value, something that could bring great success, is too hard? Are you going to say, I'm strong enough to go through anything and I can do this? It may be hard, it may be difficult, but I can absolutely do this, and I will. And I'll do it a little bit at a time, maybe make great strides. Maybe some days I won't make as great strides, but every day I'm going to improve and I'm going to do this. Because in the end, whether you stay in poverty or middle class, which is another version of poverty because it's limited, or become a great success with great wealth and riches, is going to be whether you will take the risks and put in the hard work needed to become a great success. And that's up to you. No one's going to do it for you. No mentor can do it for you. No coach can do it for you. You have to be the one to do it. You have to be the one to decide to do it in the first place, and then actually take the action to do it. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.